for District 8 House, we have the incumbent, I didn't realize you were right there. We have the incumbent, Mark Newman, District 8 current representative. And then for Senate, we have David Wilson couldn't make it. He had a prior engagement. But we have Stephen Wright. And we have Bernadette Rubright. And Mrs. McCain-Finch, did she leave already? Sandra McCain-Finch, she had to leave.
Mike.
And then, where's... Oh yeah, well, he's not a Republican.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Santa Claus over there, which is Lloyd Thurman. Lloyd Thurman! Okay. Lloyd! Okay. So we're going to say a prayer. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Representative David Eastman.
Would you like me to hang up to that first?
That is happening.
Did you say Stephen Wright?
I said Stephen Wright. Oh, and then we also have some Borough Assembly candidates, Smokey 2, over there on the phone, and Mike Alexander is here. Oh, and who else?
I can stay there.
Oh, and Amber Sanchez. Are you running for District 4, Borough Assembly? Okay. Great. So we're just going to do a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge First Amendment first.
Okay,
There's a flag right up here.
there's several flags. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
I will say the prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings you've bestowed upon us as Americans. We ask humbly that you continue to bless us, guide us, deliver us out of the clutches of evil. We pray for each candidate that they would honor you. And we pray for a clean fight between our challengers and our incumbents with love in our hearts. Bless this food that we'll eat. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Good job.
All right, Pastor Mike.
Thank you everybody for joining us here. This is just going to be a short little video clip for the moment. I'm planning on setting up here to get ready to live stream the actual candidate forum that will begin here in about 20 minutes. Don't forget to share. We'll be back again in 20 more minutes to make sure that you guys all get to see what our candidates that are running for office have to say. Thanks for tuning in. As always, Facebook squeals on you if you don't share, so don't forget to share. See you again here in 20 minutes. Well, so bye for now.
Okay, Santa Claus said he can't hear me. How's that? Okay, so we're going to let the candidates speak now, and we're going to start with the House. We'll start with our incumbent representative, Mr. Mark Newman.
Thanks, Mike. First, I'd like to say thanks to all the prayers for the folks that were out there this last year. Just lots of hard work. I wore out the soft material between the vertebrae, 5, 6, and 7 in my neck, and the one in the middle got pulled back because the muscles in your back of your neck were so much stronger, and it was cutting my spinal cord in half. So I had to go get the surgery.
I don't see it.
Got that healed up here now, and we're doing great, and I'm feeling great. Was welcoming my new granddaughter, Monty. Matthew had a son, little girl. So anyhow, and my daughter's working up in Juneau Bay, and I take care of my grandson at our house too. So my family and my home life is doing real good. But during my time off while I was getting healed up, I wanted to do some things that are not happening in Juneau. And right now, the only discussions that are happening is how to spend the permanent fund dividend or increase taxes, taking more money out of our economy, instead of committing to the promise that we made Congress when we became a state. And that was to use our natural resources, where there's not a place in the world would love to have the abundant amount of natural resources they have right here, and turn those resources into jobs. And if we have a good corporate fair tax structure, we have our royalty taxes, our royalty payments, and corporate tax structures to fund our state government. And along with that, with the jobs, more jobs equals less government. That's what I support. So, before I left Juneau, I met with Governor Dunleavy. He says, Mark, we need to come up with some better ways to fund our budget. And I said, well, we're going to try and do that. So I worked with his commissioners and some of the folks on corrections with Commissioner Dahlstrom, and a project that I started in my first year as a legislator is to turn the correctional farm out of Point McKinsey into a working farm. They have a square acre out there, a square mile out there, a full section. And to this day, they're now producing, the last reports I have, a total of 2.2 million pounds of produce. That all goes into our state corrections institutes and goes to our food banks, such as in Big Lake, Wasilla, and then all the way into Anchorage. All done by prisoners. They have 120 beds there at the farm to keep everybody there so that they don't have narcotics going between Goose Creek and the farm, so they're doing it pretty safe. But mostly they save the state money. Instead of these cats sitting in a prison jail, they're out there making an income for the state and saving the state money. But the problem that they have is they produce way more than they can produce, than they can manufacture or process. And so I've worked with other organizations such as Diane Kaplan from the Rasmussen Foundation and Elizabeth Ripley from the Matsu Health Foundation, and invited them out to the farm to show them what they actually do out there. And they were impressed enough to commit to continue working with me to get private industry money up to $1 million to $1.5 million to build a processing facility at Point McKinsey to process not only the vegetables that they grow there, but all the produce that can be grown in Alaska. The problem what they have now is because they actually don't grow enough produce there to support a full factory. And so we've contacted some firms. We've got the plans, site plans, development plans on how to do this, site locations on how to do this. And it's something that I'm excited about. And what it does, again, is it's starting to put these guys to work. Most of these people, here's an overhead view of the total farm. You know, all of us have seen the produce that goes to seed over there in Palmer and such, 40-acre fields. Number 2 potatoes that get thrown away, or a little spot on a piece of cabbage that has to all get thrown away. There's no reason why we're not putting that into every institution that the state has to take general fund money dollars from and pay for food. Our schools, 6,000 prisoners, 3 meals a day. Our pioneer homes, our senior centers, all could be eating Alaska produce. Our farmers could probably not grow all the food that we hopefully could process there. It would truly grow our agriculture industry again, where it's supposed to be with prison labor. All the high quality product that the farmers now sell at cars, hopefully in the farmers markets and get a higher value, they'd be able to still do that. All their seconds now that they now have to throw away could be purchased from the state at a discounted rate and processed for $1 to $1.50 an hour at prison labor. These are the type of things that help promote jobs in our community. There just happens to be 13,000 warehousing jobs at Ted Stevens International Airport, which is the largest freight airport in the world. Those types of people are just the type of people that can be trained for the warehousing jobs. We all can, and they need oversight. Everything from getting all this into different prisons while it's already pre-processed and reducing their operating costs, to all these other facilities. It's good programs like that. But it's also proving up why we should put money into our permanent fund dividend. We've developed a spreadsheet on the performance of the permanent fund dividend, which has made 10.75% since its inception in '81. It's doing very well. And there's over $14 billion in the earnings reserve now that could go to fund our budget for 4 years. And what would that do without any increase in our general fund? It's the money that should have went out to our permanent fund dividends in the first place, and that's what needs to go back out through our economy, through some permanent fund dividends. That would make that dollar roll up to 7 times through our economy as opposed to sitting in the state's coffers. That's just not right. That would really put a spur into our economy, I think, in the short term. But mostly what it does is it takes a lot of the commotion out of the discussion in Juneau, because it would give the governor to do what he wanted to do and go around the state and talk to the people about what they wanted to do with the permanent fund dividend. It would also allow them to have the discussion on things like a constitutional spending cap that means things. But what it would do, it would also help take a lot of the wind out of the sail that's going on in Juneau. When I look at trying to attract private industry into this state, which is the only way that we're going to get our resources returned into jobs, that's what we should be doing, is to stop the commotion that's going on down in Juneau. You know, there's the arguments and there's nothing positive going on. So that's what I've tried to do, is create a good positive message and how we can get through this. I've also come into some mid-range budgets. Actually, I've created a short, medium, and a long-term budget and economic development plan for the state. I've got a lot of my literature in my tent over here. I want people to drive up and be able to get stuff and talk to me. If you'd like to see what I've done on positive things on this, we can email you all this information and help spread it around. I'd enjoy that. But I think that what we're missing in Juneau too is people with vision. People remember great people, Alaskans like Wally Hickle, because he had vision and he was willing to dream about things like a bridge to Siberia or even a water line to the lower 48. He had vision. I think it's time to dust off a plan. In 2009, I worked with the Department of Defense to launch their alternative fuels program in Alaska, which culminated with the Department of Defense holding a global economic conference, alternative energy fuel conference, focusing on Alaska to turn our vast resources of coal and natural gas into a liquid fuel, primarily for our DOT and the aviation industry. I think it's time to dust that off again. The world spends billions of dollars for carbons, for carbon emissions, when we could be producing clean liquid natural gas here that's virtually carbon-free. Made in Alaska, made in America by Alaskans. It takes vision to do things like this. By the way, the business plan that I talked about with gas to liquids, I've got copies over there here. It's a business plan that was actually signed off by the guy who buys all the fuel for the Department of Defense and the Defense Logistics Agency, at the time Admiral Kirk Kunkel, the guy who was in charge of buying everything for DOD. They wanted to get this done in Alaska, but we couldn't get a pipeline built. But we can't get a pipeline built because we want to keep trying to send it across the world. We need to be using it here, creating jobs for Alaskans. I've got plans that do that. I've been talking recently with Senator Sullivan on this and Congressman Young. I'd like your support so we can continue to create jobs with a positive message. That's what I like to do. I like to communicate. I like people to just call and talk to me. That's what I do. My cell is 354-0800. I'm on the emails and my phone is 376-2679. Just let me know. Hey Mark, give me a call and that's all we have to do, and I'm glad to talk to you about anything you like. So have a great day. But mostly thanks for being here and being informed. And I appreciate and respect everybody here, all the candidates and everything that you do, because you're informed and you want to learn more. And that has value in my role. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mark. Representative Mark Newman, thank you.
We got lots
Appreciate
of
it.
carpenter pencils over there too, so come over here.
Okay, so the next speaker will be Kevin McCabe. He's the challenger for District 8.
Evening, everybody. So I have 3 words for you guys. 17 billion, with a B, billion dollars of your savings in the last 6 years. We have no bridges, we have no new roads, we have no new power plants, we have nothing to show for it. $17 billion in the last. If that doesn't scare you into voting for somebody new, somebody with new ideas, then I don't know what will. So there are many, many things, as Mr. Newman talked about, that take new vision. That's what I intend to provide, new vision. We need to get some lower power on the rail belt for new industry. It's not going to come to Alaska unless we can get the kilowatt hours off of 18 cents a kilowatt hour. The only way to do that is the Susitna-Watana Dam or some sort of power plant that lowers the cost of electricity to attract new industry. We have already spent a bunch of money on Susitna-Wautanach, a bunch of money. Why? Why haven't we completed it? Just like we have spent a bunch of money on the rail spur. We spent a bunch of money on a half-finished port that should be a world-class deep-water port, and it's not. Why not? So I'm running. I'm a conservative Republican. I believe in small government. I believe small government equals more liberty, which equals more jobs, which equals more money in our pocket. I'm a conservative Republican, and I'm running because I want to fix that problem, these problems. We need to focus on the budget. The legislature needs to stop giving money, stop putting money back into the budget that doesn't belong there. So if a group of Republicans remove money from the budget, a co-chair should not put money back into the budget. I'm sorry, but that's just so foreign to me, I would never do that. So if you have any questions, kevinjmccabe.com. I will answer my phone, I'll answer email, I'll answer Twitter, I'll answer Facebook. You can get a hold of me virtually any way that you want to. So I'm happy to, or going to be hanging around, answering questions, and I'd be interested to hear what you folks think. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, that's Kevin McCabe running for District 8 House. Okay, next we're going to go to the Senate District D, which District 8 and District 7 make up District D in the Senate. David Wilson is our incumbent senator. He had something scheduled, so he couldn't be here today. He had it scheduled a couple weeks ago. So we can start with whoever would like to speak. Stephen's right here. So Stephen Wright for running for Senate District D.
All right. Thank you. I'm Stephen Wright, and I'm running, like you said, for Senate District D. We all know where that is. Big Lake, Wasilla, Settlers Bay, Point McKenzie, and a bit of Meadow Lakes. So that's just a little bit about the area. But a little bit about me is I was originally born on Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage. Don't hold that against me. Just kidding. But in Anchorage, during the Vietnam War, when my dad was up here, and I got an opportunity. I was in the Air Force for 22 years, so I got an opportunity to come back to Alaska. So my first pick, of course, was Elmendorf Air Force Base. So, and so I've been in 18 years when I got that assignment, and so it helped me. It helped me get reconnected to Alaska. Because I left when I was little. But the thing is, when we looked around in Anchorage at the time to look for a house, we didn't find anything. So I just went to a realtor there, and they said, hey, we got something in Settlers Bay. And so we went out to Settlers Bay, and we loved it. And we've loved being in the valley ever since. So about the last 11 years we've been here in the valley. I retired from the military about 6 years ago. So 6 years ago in March. But another opportunity I had after I retired from the military is I had an opportunity to teach school. When I was on my terminal leave, I was taking classes from Alaska Pacific, working on my second master's degree in education. So I got to come back. One of the schools that I talked to briefly, because I got I got a 2-year certificate to teach, and so one of the schools in rural Alaska hired me to go down there and help open a school. So I went down to Southeast Alaska during the school year and helped open a school in Southeast Alaska. So I got to spend some time teaching, and I really enjoyed teaching because when I was in the military, I taught tech school for 4 years. Taught avionics. I worked on airplanes for 22 years, and I also. The last 4 years I was here, I basically was a resource advisor, so I looked at budgets. And that's one of the things I like to do, because I have an accounting degree. And look at budgets, try to find out where things aren't right, and make sure the numbers match up. And when I'm looking at the budget for Alaska, I find that the numbers don't necessarily match up. Like we said earlier, somebody said earlier we were missing $17.1 billion over the last, I don't know, however many years, 10 years or so. Anyways, that I thought was huge. And so as I had retired from the military, and like I said, came back to the Valley, I decided to run for office just to test the water to see what was going on locally in Alaska. So I ran for Congress in 2016. So I learned a lot during that run for office. I learned a lot about all the different districts in the state, all the different areas, talked to lots of legislators. And as I talked to legislators, I got really concerned because a lot of them weren't for a full dividend. So I'm like, why aren't they for a full dividend? So basically, especially the ones in Fairbanks, which was surprising. I talked to Coghill and some other folks, and I listened to them. I was up at the Tanana State Fair for a full week, listening to candidates and trying to see where they're at in various areas. And I got really concerned at that point. So this is the first time I ran for office. However, this is the first really local run that I've done. So as I've looked at the budget, and as I've looked at what happened during Walker's year in 2016 when Walker cut the budget, he basically cut the dividend. He cut it in half at the time, and actually now the legislature's trying to do more than cut it in half. When they had their little working group, there were some legislatures on the Democrat side that were saying, well, maybe we can give them a $300 dividend. Well, it's not all about giving us a dividend. That's our shared resources and our shared mineral rights. So my concern is the legislature put in with Senate Bill 26 what they call a percent of market value. And this percent of market value essentially cut our dividend even further in half. If you hear Kathy Giesel when she talks about it, she talks about side bumpers. Well, when you bowl and you put the side bumpers up, basically you're keeping the ball in play, but they're really not doing that. What they're really doing, if you look at the average earnings for the permanent fund over 5 years, as it should be, it shouldn't be a percent of market value, it should be an average earnings. And that goes on in perpetuity. And I think the legislature got concerned because they saw that, we're going to be getting $4,500 to $5,000 dividends in the next few years if the Trump market would have held. So instead of letting you spend your money, they're like, how can we get more of their money? So let's make this percent of market value. And that's essentially what they did. Is they've come around the back door with some loopholes, ignoring statute to take your dividend. So that's one of the main key factors that got me going again this time, is the fact that I saw them put in this percent of market value, which I was totally against. And then our current legislature, David Wilson, he's for the binding caucus, which he's the only one of the legislatures in the Valley of the four, Reinbold, Hughes, and Shower, that benefited from this binding caucus. If you look, he had one committee chair as a junior senator this last 4 years, and then he gained 4 chairs over this last legislative session. And if you look at that, everybody in the Valley lost all their chairs. Guess where the chairs went? They went to David Wilson. Go figure. And maybe that's why he's in support of a full dividend. He won't commit. Not in support of a full dividend, and he won't commit to the fact that the reason why I say he's not in support of a full dividend is because how he voted on the budget. And that's another factor that we need to look at, is if somebody votes for a full budget and it actually halves or more your dividend, like basically 1,000 is like a third of what we should have been getting. The private sector, that's very important for our economy. And when you take $3,000 per person per year, or $2,000 per person this year out of the private sector, you're crippling the private sector, especially with the COVID and other things that have been going on. So, anyways, that's just some of the reasons why I'm running for office. I don't know how much time I have left. Where's my timekeeper now? Just kidding. In the forums that we do, they give you 5 minutes, and you're on the clock. People are holding up time, but I don't really like having to be put on a timer. But anyways, just a little bit about some of the things that we have. We do have an actual debate coming up on the 12th, I believe, which everybody starts voting on the 3rd. So in-person voting begins actually Tuesday. So people have been getting. You can apply for an absentee ballot if you're nervous about going to vote. But up until the 8th of August, you can apply for an absentee ballot. And the process on that's a little different. I personally like voting in person. So anyways, if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Thank you. Oh, at the end. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we'll do questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Stephen Wright, running for Senate for District D. The next challenger for District D Senate will be Bernadette Rootwright.
B.
B. She got it by B.
Say that again, please. B.
B for
Okay.
District D Senate. Thank you.
I have to get one of the signs. Can you hand that to me, please? Right over there. But I had to fight down there in Juneau. Actually, it wasn't that difficult. So many people knew me as B. So I got my new sign, see, with a B. Well, in case you don't know me, I have been politically involved for a long time. Not lately, just the past few years, because I have a very taxing job. In fact, I'm still working while I'm doing this. But I felt that I had a message that I had to get out here, and I've got a little bit of different approach, of course, on some of the issues than the other candidates. And one of those differences is, you know, for the permanent fund, I want our full share, of course, but I would like that to be protected permanently, because this can just happen again. Even if we go down there, and we're going to make a Republican sweep, because that's what I'm feeling. We are going down there, but I want that permanent fund protected. If we go back to the 50-50, it is not protected. This can happen again. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we can have a trust, or we can have our full percentage written in the Constitution. And we don't have to have a convention for that. We already have established permanent fund principle in there. So I think it'd be pretty easy to get that into the Constitution. So that's one of the things I'd like to do. And of course, I want to put a cap on spending. And I see a lot, and I've learned a lot on the campaign trail about all kinds of things that go on in the departments. I've known that before, because I've been looking into this for a long time. And that's the state budget, I mean. And so there is cutting to be done. There is a reduction in spending that needs to happen, and not just budgeting, because budgeting is weird. You can just have anything that looks pretty good on budgeting, but if you understand how your process works, you know that they bump up their departments every year. There's money's left over, and so one of the things that I'm calling for would be an independent audit, a truly independent audit that has not been approached. And I think possibly, I might get pinned on this one, has never happened in this state. We have a person called an independent auditor, but they actually work for the state. Okay, so I want to know where that money is. So first approach, let's find out how much money we have. We're going to cut. We're going to live within our means. We got a flat oil revenue scheduled for 2 years, but it is expected to go up. And if we keep our taxes, we're voting no on one, of course, keep that tax reasonable, we're going to get a lot of new development, and then we can continue to develop, and hopefully when we send all these new people down here, we're going to actually develop, not talk about these plans and all this stuff, and have money going out the door to plans that are never finished. Not even a road. I always have to say that. Not even a new road. I mean, how many years has it been? This is just terrible. So, I want to stress that of all the projects, we need a good project going. So not only do we have to cut spending, we have to live within our means. We've got a budget. We've got to save a permanent fund, but we have to, at the same time, we got to create a big project that's going on in here. I believe the government might be working on that, because we need to get some money circulated, of course. So one of the things I want to do is get that permit fund out as soon as we convene. I think that'll be something to do. We need to convene, because I don't think there's one going to come out in October. We got struggling families and businesses right now in this horrific situation that's going on. So the approach that I want to take is, I want to mention turbines. If this is my special project, if we get a bridge there, I mean a huge project. I want turbines. We need tidal power. We got it out there. I don't know why this has never been done. Even if we didn't even do the bridge, we could just have the pilings with the turbines. That's our reduced energy cost right there. That would be so incredible. So, what I want to let you know, though, is that I think it's the it's something that we're fighting. It's a spirit that we're fighting against. We can all say these things, but the only thing that I can really promise you is to go down there and stand by the Republican Party platform. I cannot join a binding caucus. I can promise to be myself and not get wiped out into the legislature, because I really and truly do understand the Constitution, and a legislator's job is to enforce the law, not be overburdened by bureaucracy or told what to do by state officials or anything like that. I understand that that's my job. These are things that I can promise. That's the only thing I can promise. And I want to end this by talking about our fight. Our fight, my pet peeve of all this is education. We would not be here without the insidious insertion of liberal ideas into our educational system. So I'm all about changing education, not only for reducing the budget in there, which I see huge opportunity, but I want local government control. I mean, each school, teacher and principals, and their parents deciding what's going on in their school. Because the fight is against an ideal, this ideal of socialism, this and that. This is what we have, okay? They want to, and I'm telling you, our money is just going to amount to zero if the Democrats get their way, whatever they decide to choose to call themselves this day or whatever, and whatever relative truth there is that day. I lost my train of thought. I was doing so good. Oh, what? I'm sorry. Oh, the schools. Okay. Well, it's the spirit of the thing. Okay. Now we have youth that don't even understand, what their Constitution is. So my most important reason for going down there is to change the narrative. The narrative has to be changed. I got to go down there, and we have to go down there, and we actually have to start right from the basics. I'm talking about natural law and our Constitution and Hume and Locke. This has to be taught. We have to have someone down there that's speaking that. Every argument that I bring forth is going to come from that position of a Constitution. I'm a constitutionalist, and I'm a conservative, and I'm going to go down there to do battle, because that's the way it is right now. There is no pandering to the other side. That's the spirit that we need to take down there. And I appreciate you all coming out today, and I hope to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, B. B. Rubright for State Senate, District B. Okay, and the next gentleman we will let's hear from is, I'm sorry, how do you say your name? Hunky Lee. Senate District D, Challenger.
Mr. Santa, Lloyd Thurman.
Hey,
Come here.
I'm over here. You go. It's your time.
No, I want you to be the first.
Okay. All right. Whatever you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Santa Claus.
That's right.
Mr. Lloyd Thurman.
You want to do that for me?
Okay, folks. It's Santa on deck right now. I got passed off here, so anyhow, I was busy today at lunchtime. I had a big audience that was there in Wonderland Park. All the kiddos were coming around, and Santa was on performance, and he was on the show right there. So we had a great time in Wonderland Park, and I'm basically recruiting for 4 years out. So that by the time that they grow up, it'll be a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little more. So anyhow, we had a great time at the park. I didn't really expect to be passed off so quick here, so I was trying to collect my thoughts. Bottom line is, everybody knows it. The spending at Juneau is just completely out of control. It's so far insane that it just doesn't even make any sense. Spending billions of dollars, as McCabe presented earlier, $17 billion. I mean, come on, get real, folks. In 6 years, what are we doing? How do you throw that kind of money away? You have to be a drunk sailor, on leave and go nuts. It's crazy. So anyhow, no, as a senator, you don't vote on the budget. The House is the one who votes on the budget. However, the thing that the Senate has the ability to do is when they send the budget up saying this is what we propose, at that point, You either say yes, which means the people get nothing, no PFD nor anything else, or you have the guts to be able to stand up and you say no. And that's what I will be able to do no matter what. I've got some of my customers coming up here right here. Are you wanting another one here? I'm having to bribe them off. Here you go. You want another one? Okay, I understand. I remember going to church and the guy handing out gum all the time before the kids would just flock to him every Sunday. So, anyhow, the portion is, they've already spent all the money. There's no more reserves. They've already squandered it. So now the bottom line is the rubber's going to hit the road and it's not going to be pretty. And I always thought, when do I want to go? If I ever wanted to go, which honestly I don't. The only reason why I got into this race was I didn't like what was there being presented. And I came in the very last day and there were 4 people. I beat the door by 30 minutes. By 30 minutes before the door slammed shut. So the bottom line was I didn't like what the options were. And I said, well, somebody's got to do something. I tried to recruit another fella, but he said that he just couldn't do it, and so he bugged out at the very last second. So otherwise, it would be him, and it wouldn't be me. But now you're stuck with Santa Claus. So I truly am, even though I have the name Santa, I truly am the most conservative of everybody. Since a little kid, I've been into this thing in politics my whole entire life. So I've been up here, living up here 32 years. I love Alaska. I love the people, and I'm really annoyed that you're going to let a bunch of politicians screw up the state and ruin it for your kids and for your grandkids into the future. Now, wake up. You slap yourself in the face and say, hey, something's got to give here, and we've got to do something. We've got to change it. So, there's so many aspects. We could talk 100 different areas that are so wrong. But the bottom line is, if you like what you see in me, get one of my brochures over here, a door hanger, and check me out. The first about 7 things on there, I hadn't even counted them up, are the things that basically I stand for. I'm for Second Amendment, golly bum. That's the final check and balance on a government that's already gone crazy. And look at where we are with this government, down in the lower 48. Look how insane it is. We're almost into a socialistic state. And I almost would say almost. The fact is we really are. And everybody's calling saying, oh, I'm a conservative. You wouldn't spend the money that you spend if you were a conservative the way that you've been doing it. It wouldn't happen that way. So don't tell me that you're a conservative when you spend like a drunk sailor. I know I used the phrase before, but it's true. So, and that's no digress on sailors. So but the bottom line is, if you're going to put back in the same people that are there, you better really qualify who those people are, and their record should show how they have voted. And if that record isn't good, you better vote them out, because if you vote it, what's the definition of insanity? You're doing the same things that you've always done and you're expecting different results, it's not going to happen. Now, there's a few that are really good. Dave Eastman's one of them. He's a guardian of us down there. And he's being blackballed and hurt by everybody that's out there. They're slamming him every single way that they possibly can. And what was it, even tearing up your signs? Was that correct? Did I just heard that through a little birdie that said that? This is lowlife, folks. You have got to get yourselves involved. If you like what you see in me, contact 5 of your friends and say, you contact 5. Check him out. And if they got me, I may have flown with computers on airplanes because I flew in the Marine Corps and this, that, and the other, and then I flew airliners and this stuff all over the globe and stuff. But I never got into PCs. So now the old codger's having to really learn how to all of a sudden punch on the keyboard like this, like other people. But the bottom line is, other people have helped me to make a website, a .com on there, LoyForAlaska.com. And be sure and put in the .com. I'm the one that's got to figure that out. And then there's also some people made up a Facebook for me on there. If you go on the .com, you can also donate on there, because I don't have the thousands of dollars that Wilson has and others. I just don't have that kind of money, and I guarantee you they are rolling the money out. The doctors are, because he's the chairman of the Health and Social Services. And if the chairman sits on whatever he wants to and it doesn't come to the top, then that's the way it's going to be. No bill is going to come up. And so they control it. And so who are the people that are supporting him? Doctors, dentists, organizations there. Thousands of dollars are coming in. So I was wrong before I said he got several chairmanships off of this thing from Giesel concerning Wilson. I said he got several chairmanships. I was wrong. But what did he get? He got a vice chairmanship, and as Wright said, he also got several other board memberships as well that were there. So the bottom line is he succeeded in being able to get a pluses in it, but he basically voted for 4 bloated budgets. There were 4 bloated budgets that were there, and he also voted against the people being able to get their PFD. And just for your own information, 4 years ago, I asked him if he would vote for the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, and talked around the subject. I asked him a second time, are you going to vote for the Republican candidate? Talked around the subject. I asked him a third time, and he started in. I said, no. We'll just watch how you vote. So you can see how he's voted. It's not been good for us, the people of Alaska. And so if you vote for me, send me down there to Juneau. I'm not expecting to be treated well at all. I'll probably be lucky if I get a broom closet, you know. But I'm really not expecting any kindness coming in my direction, because we've already seen how they treat people if they go against the establishment of whatever the dictates want from Giesel or whatever else, even in the House as well. So all I can say is I'm going down to be a public servant, to represent the people, not myself. And you can look at these gray beards, you can tell I believe in term limits. So I'd ask for your vote. It's going to be interesting to see how it is, because we have 6 people running for the Senate seat. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that turns out. But what I can say is you better get involved. If you believe in me, get 5 people, call them up, tell them to get 5 people, and then the biggest thing, follow up and say, have you got your 5? Have you got your 5? And then 3 days, have you got your 5? So that's going to be the only way. And the part that excites me about this thing, because I think the good Lord just gave it to me the other day, is this is a way how I feel that the people are frustrated because they don't feel that they can be able to be involved in the government. I'm just a little flea on the backside of a dinosaur, and I can't affect this monster that's out there. But if you will contact your 5, who will then reach their 5, that's 525. The next level will be 125, then 625, and the very 5th level is 3,125. 3,000. Now, if you could do that on a national, local, and we should be affecting our local mostly, but also you can be doing it on a national level, and you can be able to then be changing the corruption and the rottenness that we have in there. So that's about all I got to say. I'd welcome your vote. Don't forget it. Circle August 18th, because it's really important. But call your 5. 5 by 5. Here we go. Thank you much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd Thurman, Senate District 8 candidate. And now, maybe Mr. Lee's ready. Are you ready, sir?
Well, how about Mr. Polidaric? Come here, Mr. Polidaric. Come on.
Either you're going to speak or not. Okay, do you want to speak? If not, we're gonna carry on.
I'll speak.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Hunty Lee. Alaska, kind of newbie, I'm very new in Alaska, but I came to Alaska because I'm a huge fan of Alaska. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Polidaric, can I say something very spicy?
All yours. Go ahead.
Okay. They say about BLM, this systemic racism. There's no racism. No, there's no systemic racism. I don't think so. I mean, you people, you're white people, right? I'm not white. I'm the only person who's not white here, okay? You invite me here, okay? There's no systemic racism. There's no BLM. I call that BS, okay? There's no racism in America. There's no sexism, racism. Okay, we all love each other. Okay, America, we're very loving country. Alaska, freedom of speech. Okay, there's no systemic racism. BLM, I call that BS. Okay. Yeah, there's no racism. There's no sexism. Yeah, I'm the only person who's not white. Yeah, there's some couple other people here. But...
Hey, the incumbent's not white.
Yeah, so it's about people in democracy ruled by the people, all right? You, ladies and gentlemen, are kings and queens. Oh, I worship you. We are public servants, right? I kneel down. Yeah, you are the kings and queens. It's ruled by the people. Democracy, okay? That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You're the greatest, buddy. Okay, so then I think we've got all the candidates for District 8 and District D. So now we're going to go to, we've got David Eastman, the House Rep for District 10, which is right down the road here. And I know we have some District 10 voters here because I was just talking to them. Thanks, David.
Thank you very much, Mike. So the topic I'd like to just highlight for a moment is called moral clarity. And I don't know if any of you have heard recently the term moral clarity, but I wanted to describe what it means and how it separates Juneau from us here in the Matsu Valley. So moral clarity is an academic term that's been thrown around. It's the reason why you just had an editor resign from the New York Post. It's the reason you just had an editor from the New York Times resign. And they both kind of gave similar messages as to why they were resigning. And it was a lack of ideological diversity. And those on the side of moral clarity are saying that that is a good thing because they feel so assured of their moral superiority. They have this moral clarity that anyone who would say anything that would differ from their opinion shouldn't have the right to say it, because that would be less morally clear. And so you have the silencing movement, and you have the moral clarity movement. They're both, two sides of the same coin. We need to hear from those who are morally clear, and we need to not be able to hear from anyone else who is not in that camp. And so now, how does that relate to Juneau? So in Juneau, they had they've got a few political blogs that the staffers and the legislators tend to read. And one of them was talking earlier this year about a conversation in the hallway. They had someone from outside of Juneau who had come to town, had met with their legislator, and someone overheard them in the hallway saying, wow, that went really well. I felt like my legislator heard me. And they relayed that online and laughed about it because of how ridiculous that was. Because, in their opinion, why would legislators actually be listening to constituents? And what a schmuck this guy was for thinking that his legislator had actually heard him. That is the opinion of Juneau to you and to me as a representative from the Matsu. Remember, Juneau voted 5-1 in the precinct where the Capitol building was located for Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. That is the Capitol. That is the attitude of the Capitol. The attitude of the Capitol towards the Matsu is contempt for the Matsu. It is contempt for those who would represent the views and opinions of the Matsu. So any candidate that you are going to be sending into Juneau is going to be walking into that environment. Make no mistake about it. They are not there to listen to the Matsu. They are there to silence the Matsu. They are there to destroy anyone who would upset the status quo in any kind of meaningful way. So if you're hoping that we'll get a 1950s style, everybody's going to respect the election, and the Democrats and others in the Capitol will just respect that and go along with it, ain't going to happen. You can expect opportunities to recall governors because they don't respect the results of that election. You can expect impeachment proceedings against presidents because they don't respect the results of that election. You even got Anchorage legislators who, threatened me to my face, we will kick you out of the legislature. We have the power to do that. Here's how I would do that. I would go and I would talk to this Anchorage legislator, and I would have all the other Anchorage legislators, and maybe some folks otherwise, kick you out of the legislature because we don't like what you say and we don't like how you vote. How you vote at the end of the day is really the one thing that matters as a legislator. The talk is cheap. How your legislator vote is what Juneau cares about. They might not like some of the talk, but it really comes down to how they vote. So keep a close eye on how your legislators vote. Keep a close eye on how other legislators vote. And if you happen to see any of the half a dozen Anchorage legislators that were out here in the valley, campaigning for somebody a couple weekends ago, let me know. I like to keep track of where they're at when they're hanging out in my district. So I like to know who it is that they're trying to persuade to vote the way Anchorage and Juneau want us to vote. We'll always have that opportunity. There'll always be more legislators from Anchorage until, well, probably that's just the way it's going to be. We can deal with that, but there's no reason for us to fall and cave to that and simply let Anchorage tell us how to go. But they are very willing to do that. They are very willing to threaten us. They're very, very willing to threaten my Senator Mike Shower, others who would stand against their agenda. But you know what? It's a bad agenda, and somebody's going to need to. So I hope those that you're voting for from here in Big Lake, from Wasilla, from every part of the Matsu, will carry your message, will accurately relay your values and your beliefs, because Juneau needs them desperately, and they really, really don't want to hear it. That's what I got. Thanks.
Thank you, David. David Eastman, District 10, State House incumbent. And so now we're going to, I think, did we get everybody? I think we've got everybody for House, all the House reps, all the challengers, Senate, etc. So we're going to let we have, what do we have, 3 people running here for Borough Assembly, Assembly seat, what was it, 4?
5. 4 and 5.
4, is 4 still here though? Okay. Did you want to say a word? I'm sorry, I don't. Amber Sanchez, she's running for Assembly Seat 4.
Hi everybody, my name is Amber Sanchez and I'm running for Seat 4, as you know. The reason why I'm running is because, like most of you, I woke up one day and I got tired of liberal politics. I got tired of socialism taking over. And mostly I got tired of people called being racist. I am full-blooded Mexican, and let me tell you something. You're not racist for your ideas. You're American. Amen. America first. So what better way than to start locally? I'm tired of sitting there and watching everything I love just be destroyed. In the name of racism, in the name of anything. Ideas being told that, because you have a disagreeing idea, you are racist. That's not the truth. Trust me, I've been blocked by Black Lives Matter members. Blocked numerously. Blocked by my family, blocked by fellow Mexicans. But you know what? America first. So that's why I'm running. So I would appreciate your support and thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and then we have 2 candidates for Borough Assembly Seat 5. Mike Alexander and Moki. Whoever would like to speak. Mr. Alexander is coming. He's got a nice red hat on.
I'm really horrible with these microscopes. I'll try to get close to you. Let's hear what I'm saying. The reason I ran, not at all. You're just old and deaf, boy. Yeah, too many jet engines. I'm Mike Alexander. The reason I ran for this was I thought somebody else would step up and do it. They haven't against Dan Mayfield before. Moki gave it a shot. But the thing of it is, we're not getting anything done here in this city. We're losing a lot of things we should be having. There should be some railroad tracks running across out here. That port should be opened up. They can take on any amount of coal that Usabelli can send to Japan. That's a given. That builds jobs. It builds the local economy here. We've got to get KGB 4-laned. At least I'd like to see it go clear to the turn off to the port. But get the lanes and stuff in there. They did repave it this year. That was great. Big Lake itself, our roads need improving somehow, and I don't know where we're going to get the money for it, but we may have to do that. But the thing of it is, we have to have some roads. We have to have some local economy here. We're sitting on a lot of resources that we aren't taking advantage of. and a lot of it is just not moving out. I'd also like to see us get our gun ranges in here for the kids over at high school with Neil Moss and those guys so they can teach them gun safety. It's for us to go anywhere and shoot safely on a range. It's 43 miles up north to Susitna. I have no idea what it is to Mod Road, but probably the same. I didn't check it out. We've got offers that people will come in as contractors. If we can get the land, they will build the ranges at cost or less. That's something to go on. And the other thing is, I'll give you the same promise that Darcy Solomon gave you all a few years ago, and that is, you really won't have to come watch me on Tuesday night unless I need some backup. I will not vote to raise up your taxes. I will not vote for anything that will restrict your property rights. So the new thing out here is they're going to try to run Agenda 21 on you. They already have. They've got a new program now. And that doesn't fit Big Lake. It never has. It never will. It doesn't fit KGB Road right now. That has to be improved. We have to have a road out there. There's 12,000 people live out there. We've got the same thing going here. Hollywood needs to be straightened out, widened with a bunch of stuff on it. We need shoulders, turn lanes probably on some of that. It all needs to be done, and we're just, I don't know what we're doing, but we're fiddling away somewhere. So I will tell you this, if you vote for me for Assembly, I won't raise your taxes. I won't vote for that. I will try to get some shooting ranges out here, but I want to work on the roads especially, and the track and the economic development for this region. And that has to be done so your kids can stay here and not go out and have to go out of state to make a living. And that's what I wanted to promise y'all come November. Vote for Mike Alexander, and that's what I'll try to get for you. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Mike. Mike Alexander, District 5 Assembly seat. And the other gentleman for Assembly Seat 5 is Mr. Moki 2.
Good evening, and thank you for your time, and thanks for coming out. My name is Moki 2, and I've lived out here in the Big Lake area for 20 years plus. I've been a contractor out here for the entire time. What I've done is roads and other businesses also. So yes, we do need a lot of roads out here. We need to do a lot of improvement. Yeah, that's true. Being involved in these roads for 20 years, I've seen where all the money can come from. I've seen where all the money's being thrown away. I definitely got an insight of the borough because I've been working for them for about 20 years. So I can go in there and make things happen. That's the reason I'm doing it. But I'm also doing it because I have, my son lives on the Big Beaver Lake with me. My daughter lives on Big Beaver Lake. And they both have blessed me with grandchildren. I want to make it a great place for them. I don't want to see them come tell me that they have to move out of my community because they can't make a living or the taxes are too high. I think we need to grab a hold of all of that. We need to be accountable for the money that you folks are giving on your RSA taxes every year. Yeah, that should happen, and that's why I'm here. I've been married for like 35 years to my wife, who's heavily supported me constantly. Oh, she's taking film. So that's why I'm here. I'd answer any questions. Do I believe that the borough or the government has no right coming on your property and telling you what to do? Absolutely. That's your property. You should be able to do what you want to do. So whatever I can do to answer your questions, I'm here. I'm not a politician, never been a politician, and I won't be a politician. I'm a businessman, and I'm a contractor for 20 years, and I'm a grandfather, and I'm going to fight for my family. I'm going to fight for all of you folks. When I worked for the borough for the last 20 years, I told them I don't work for you. I work for all the people out here that I'm doing all this work for on your roads. Well, they always told me I worked for them, and I've been a fight. It's been a fight for 20 years until they fired me. Well, I'm happy. So, but I can help you now, and I can really fight hard. So I'd like the opportunity to come on November for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, did we miss anybody? Yeah, no? Okay, so if anybody has any questions for any of the candidates, feel free to ask if you'd like to ask publicly. Yes, sir.
I'd have run, but they didn't offer me a seat.
Oh, okay. 2 years from now, sir. Let's see. Any questions? Sir, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Ken. I'm the new guy in the neighborhood. Hey.
Hey.
I started with R on the chance, got into Q. I see a lot of movement here in America, and the funniest thing I see is the fact that this corona hoax. We all know it's a hoax. Nobody's wearing a mask. I walk into a store, there's people with diapers on their face. Potty mouths, everybody? What's going on? Last week, there were 5 deaths. 3 of them were accidents. 1 up here, 2 down on the highway, and 2 deaths at home. 2 days later, the total corona deaths went up by 5. Which one of you guys is going to open it up and make it transparent and bring out that information and show the hoax for what it is?
Thank you, sir. Good question. Anybody want to respond to that question? The COVID.
We all have the same question.
Agreed.
Stephen wanted to say
Come on, what did you
I can
say
say something.
Please.
Stephen Wright, Senate District D candidate. Here you go.
Well, I know with all the HIPAA laws, it makes it difficult to open it up, but I think they need to because if you look, like what we've had since, they said originally we were going to have all these deaths, and we're not having these deaths. But the thing is, I think we have to, right now, they're funding 10 times the amount of tests that they were doing previously. So once those funds go away, at that point, then you're going to see the numbers come down, I think, just because I think residually you're going to have a certain amount in the environment, and whether or not a person dies from that or not, I guess that's up to the doctors, but I think that's something we have to really figure out, because I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked at, because we're paying through our federal funds big money right now to do a lot of this stuff through the CARES Act. So anyways, something that needs to be definitely looked at.
Alrighty, thank you, Stephen. Sir?
Hey, John. John, earlier about this. First off, the state should not be mandating masks for anybody. You have your First Amendment rights, and that's freedom of speech right, to do as you please in this world, and I'll always defend that.
Well, those mandates are trying to suspend the Constitution.
Yeah.
The Constitution can never be suspended.
No, and so, I'll take oath to suspend that right, to support that right too, for you to do as you please.
If you wear a mask, that's up to you.
Yep. Yeah.
But
what information you want to read or choose to select or how you want to, that's up to you, and that's the most important part.
We need to go after the Anchorage Daily News and everybody else at the local television channels. Say, quit producing the fear porn. Get real. Yeah. This thing's got a 98.7% rate of cure. Just because you see on TV, oh, you got to wear a mask at 6 feet. Well, one or the other. If a mask works, why 6 feet? Why 6 feet if a mask works? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm no expert on that. I can probably help you fix your car or your house or build some
if the mask works, give it to the prisoners. Quit letting them out.
Yeah. Well, no, they shouldn't be. Should be putting them to work.
How is it your protesters can all get together, rape, plunder, and pillage, burn things down? They don't die of coronavirus. But I'll be damned, we're all in violation of that. We're all going to catch it. How smart is that virus? Where did it go to school? I want to go there too. I need somebody up there that's going to ask these questions, that's going to come up with these answers and push it. Which one of you is going to do it?
I'm doing it right now.
Let me add a piece of that, okay? Look, if a mask protects me and it protects you, isn't that what a handgun does?
There you go.
Just the thought.
If Black Lives Matter, why are you not protesting in front of abortion clinics?
All right, thank you. Do you have a response?
So here's the deal. There's a difference between dying from COVID and dying with COVID. So the virus is called SARS-CoV-2, and it gives you a disease much like the virus for HIV gives you AIDS, right? I mean, there's a virus that gives you this disease called COVID. So, unfortunately, the federal government has been giving hospitals money for people that die with COVID. So you can get shot in the head, be perfectly healthy, and die, and all of a sudden you have died with COVID. If you have test at all, or even if you don't have a test. It depends on what they write on the certificate. So, as Mark Twain said, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics, right?
Yes.
So the statistics are what the problem is. It's the problem that we all see. Everybody sees it. Unfortunately, the government is reacting improperly to this, I believe. And whether you believe it's a conspiracy, or if the disease is terrible, or if it's not terrible, the bottom line is the death rate. That's what we need to look at. Right now, the death rate is a little bit more than normal flu. Right now. I suspect in the next 5 years that we're going to lose as many as 500,000 people from this disease. The vaccine is not going to turn it off like a light switch. It's going to be more like a rheostat. And we're going to have to accept the fact that we are going to have to deal with it. Much like we deal with the regular flu, or we dealt with the Spanish flu, or we deal with tuberculosis, or we deal with cancer. We're just going to have to figure out how to deal with it. I think the masks are an overreaction, and I think shutting down Anchorage is a huge, huge overreaction. So.
Well, I don't really have anything else to say now. I think that was the best thing that I heard. But yes, except for to add that I think that the concern, the over concern of the hype in the media is going to either worsen or change after November 4th. So I wanted to put that one out there. So the statistics that he already he said, oh, we must think alike exactly. Kevin Cave just said exactly the things that I believe about this. But I just wanted to mention that I do believe there's going to be a change depending on who is elected in November.
Hi, everybody. My name's Neil Moss. My wife over here, Lindy Moss. We are the new kids on the block. We just moved out to Big Lake. When was it, January? Yes. I've been in Alaska for 40 years, though, but we just moved to this community. Mike Alexander mentioned me earlier. My wife and I run a youth shooting organization called Alaska Yes, stands for Alaska Youth Education Shooting Sports. We've been trying to get a piece of land from the borough for about 8 years. We tried to get a piece of land out here in Big Lake 8 years ago. Was it 6 years ago? Anyway, Dan Mayfield was instrumental in making sure it didn't happen. That would have brought approximately 200 people a week to the community spending money. And these aren't people that are on welfare and broke. These are people that are shooting the most expensive sport in the Olympics. They're shooting shotguns. And they would have been here shopping at the local store when it was over there. Now it's Three Bears, but still, buying gas at the gas station, eating at the deli. They've been spending some money in the community. So we're trying to get a piece of land from the borough or from the state. I don't care who provides it. We've got 5 high school teams that Mike Dunleavy instigated here 7 years ago. Every high school in the valley's got a shotgun team. And they don't have anywhere to shoot. They have nowhere to practice our high school sport. They have to leave the borough. They have to go to Birchwood, because that's the only shotgun range around. So I came here today to support any politician that will support the youth of our community. You know, this isn't just a local thing. This is a statewide organization. We've got, help me out, 19 teams in the state of Alaska in our organization. Over 350 kids. Okay, we put on a state championship every year that brings 100 and some kids. This year it didn't because of the corona thing, and I'm not going to get into all that. But it brings people to the community. The borough's got 80 acres out on Susitna that we tried to get. They've got 240 acres we tried to get off KGB. Certain politicians already mentioned their name. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but they've been adamant about it not happening. Bottom line is they're anti-gun, or they're anti-kids, or they're anti-kids with guns.
Or anti-development.
They're one of the above. So I would like to see this community support politicians, assembly people that would support the youth of our community having something constructive to do instead of getting in trouble and doing drugs and whatever else kids do nowadays. We've got a lot to offer them, and it'd be really nice to have a place to do it. So I just thought I'd put the word out there and introduce my wife Lindy and myself to the community. Thank you.
Sir, appreciate that. Okay, do we have any more questions for Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee?
Can we turn this to karaoke? Anybody want to sing a song?
God bless America.
Go ahead. You go ahead and say.
Does anybody have a cell phone? I don't remember the lyrics.
God bless America. Land
Obladi. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Forever waves of rain, for birds, mountains, majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Woo! All right, all right, all right.
Used to be America's favorite game was baseball. 2 nights ago, my favorite sport just became hockey.
Amen. Talk about John.
Go Red Wings!
All right. Anybody else?
Okay, I'll talk. Okay, now how are we going to win this race? 5 by 5, right? 5 by 5. You contact 5 and then have them contact 5. And that's how you win this race. We take it back locally and we tackle it nationally. And that's how we make this all happen. And we can take back our country. And we have to, or basically our country is gone. It's so far socialistic right now that it's pathetic. And if it goes any further, then it'll be fully socialistic. What, we got static? Must be a communist microphone here or something, I'm not sure. It'll either be totally socialistic or then it'll become totally dictatorial, which is what communism is all about. It's just a progression. It always goes from republic to democrat to a socialist society, and then it goes into basically being communism, dictatorship, and the oppression of the people. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The time is so late. Thank you. God bless. Vote for Sam.
Mr. Patrick Martin. Oh, come on. Mr. Polidani. Oh, yeah, musician.
I think the crowd has gone out to me.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and yeah, just talk to the candidates here and maybe volunteer, donate.
Yes, donate.
They can't run a campaign without donations and volunteers. So, yeah. Hey, and thanks to Polita Richard. We appreciate it. And this guy here.
Any of you sees the cop in trouble, borrow his gun, shoot the other guy, and walk away.
Oh, we do have a donation can.
All right, everybody, I'd like to say thank you all for tuning in today. This is Candidate Forums out here in Big Lake in Alaska. don't forget to share. Facebook squeals on you if you don't share. I'd also like to point out that it has become a struggle to take on the mainstream media and the political regime that is currently running in our legislature and those that are working the shadow campaigns behind the networks out there. I did a big major expo exposing a lot of that out here in District 9. I am currently facing a lawsuit that is going to be pending here real soon for that article. I refuse to retract it. Everything there is 100% accurate and true. I need your help. Go to politidick.com. That's POLITADICK, POLITADICK.com, and click that donate button and donate today. From the looks of it, I am going to be sued over this. I refuse to retract the story. I refuse to retract anything that is there. They have not provided me with any evidence that what I have put there in print is not true. Everything is sourceable through the internet. You can go and get everything that I have put in print online and verify the information as 100% accurate. Please help me out. Anything that you can do to help take on the monster of the mainstream media and our very corrupt political environment that we have here in Alaska, that they are trying to make sure certain legislators only make it back to Juneau, and those that will not be a part of their agenda, they're doing their utmost to try to stop them to make that happen. Appreciate all of your help out there. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and thank you. And for everybody out there, don't forget to share. Facebook squeals on you if you don't share. Have a great day.